Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me clearly. As I was introduced, I'm Steph Lysaght. I'm the UK Consul General based here in Melbourne. Consul General is a title that we get given. It means I head up the UK government operation in Victoria, South Australia, and also Tasmania. First of all, a big thank you for allowing me to join an event organised by and organised for young people. I don't quite fit the age criteria, but I hope you can forgive me. It's a big week in Melbourne. It's a really big week. You'll all know that we've got the Australia-ASEAN summit that's on. But I think it's a really inspired idea from the organisers of the event to have an accompanying youth event such as this. It's really important because the world faces some incredibly difficult challenges of the like that we haven't seen in my lifetime and perhaps a little bit beyond that. So forums like this really matter. Your voice, your ideas, and your advocacy really matter. The people down on the riverfront in Melbourne, they're doing their best, but they need an active and involved citizenship to give them the ideas and the encouragement to make the right long-term decisions. I hope that we and the British government in Australia are doing our bit to try and encourage forums such as this and advocacy such as your own. We have a group that we call the Westminster Bridge, and that is a group of young, passionate professionals, around about 800 now across Australia, in Adelaide, in Melbourne, in Sydney, Brisbane and Canberra, that come together throughout the course of the year, facilitated by ourselves, to try and think about some of the big issues that we face and some of the ideas that people want to put forward. The group is run by and directed by all of the members. It's not something from ourselves. But what we try to offer is access to some of the people that can hear these new and good ideas and hopefully put them increasingly into practice. There'll be people in our team here and around from the network. So if anybody is interested, if they're based in Melbourne, please do seek out myself or some of our colleagues. We'd love to have you along. And for those of you that are in the region, all of our high commissions, all of our embassies and consulates in the region, they're all really keen to be engaged with and to learn from young and passionate advocates such as yourselves. So when you go back home, please do reach out to the high commissions and embassies and tell them that I told you to knock on their doors. In the short time that I've got, I just want to talk a little bit about one of these great challenges that we face, and that's climate change. And partly that's because the next session that you're going to have is going to be about that. So I want to start with something that shouldn't really need to be said, but I think I should say it. Climate change is real. The only hoax is those people who go around trying to tell us that it's not a problem and that we shouldn't take it seriously. So that has to be our starting point. When people talk to us about some of the difficult decisions that we face, we have to go back to the fundamentals. We have to have these discussions because climate change and its effects are real. But we should also be clear that whilst it's difficult, this challenge is not impossible. You sometimes are led to believe that we need magical new inventions in order to meet the challenges of net zero or other challenges of climate change or sustainability. And that's only very partially true. There will be new technologies. They will allow us to make this change and this transition even more smoothly. But with just the technologies we have today, there is nothing that is out of reach. There is nothing that should scare us. There is nothing that we've got an excuse not to achieve. So the only problem that we face really is one of sufficient global commitment. And that's where you come in, and that's where your advocacy comes in. And hopefully, over the course of this next couple of days, you can form the networks to make your voice more coherent and louder and even more persuasive. I've already mentioned that it's a big week in Melbourne with the ASEAN and Australian leaders in town. But 2024 is a big year in other ways as well. I mean, first of all, we don't have many years to waste. We can't sit on our hands for 3-4 years and then think we're going to solve it after that. Every year from now on, it has to be a year of high ambition for our actions on climate change. But in 2024, and something of resonance to this group and this region, we've got the Commonwealth Heads of Government mission. The Commonwealth has had over one-third of the world's population, 60% of which are under the age of 30. So these are exactly the people that need to come up with some of the answers, and these are exactly some of the people and the countries that need the assistance. So let me say a little bit about what the UK has done and what we need to do more of. Firstly, in the UK, we've been very fortunate. We have had a political consensus for just over 20, 25 years, and we've been able, whether we've had governments of left, right, or centre, to have coherent and progressive action. But we need to do more. We need to make sure that we are bringing on stream new nuclear energy for low carbon energy supply. We need to make sure that we're building on new generations of offshore wind. We need to make sure that we move, as we plan to electric vehicles by 2035. We need to make sure that we're simultaneously reducing the use of plastics and all of those things. I would say this, wouldn't I? But I hope you believe me when I say that the UK's made really good progress. 2 weeks ago, it was announced that we were the first major economy to reduce our emissions by 50% from 1990 levels. And we did that not by compromising economic growth, but by also growing our economy over that period of time by 79%. So please don't let anybody tell you that developed economies can't reduce emissions, that developing economies have to bankrupt their economy in order to do it. We have done it, we are doing it, we will do it, and it has been successful for us. But it's not enough that we should reduce emissions ourselves. We need to, through the Conference of the Parties and all other mechanisms, we need to make sure that we are simultaneously helping other countries, sharing our innovation, sharing our expertise, and also sharing some of our overseas development assistance in order to help them on the journey to mitigation where they can, loss and damage where it's necessary, and adaptation where we must. So the UK is working all around the Pacific. We've recently expanded our Pacific network precisely for this point, working hand in hand with Australia and other countries. And it's part of a massive series of climate change investments. And I think that word is right, investment in climate change. We're not giving people money. We are investing in a shared, more prosperous, more equitable global future through helping and working with countries of the Pacific, countries of ASEAN, in the interests of climate change. There is lots that I would like to say to you more, and I can't because my screen is tipped red here. So let me just leave you with a couple more thoughts. For those of you that are in Australia, please do continue to advocate in the groups that you are in. Please do seek out organisations of which we're proud to be a part of and to facilitate. And please also seek out some of the embassies and high commissions of other countries here in Melbourne and across Australia. I can see colleagues from the Diplomatic Corps here. I know they do terrific work. I know they're keen to hear from young people, and I know they're keen to put your ideas into action. The reason we need to do it is because, as I said at the beginning, there is no excuses for not achieving our targets of net zero. There is no excuses for not leaving our environment more equitable, sustainable than peaceful than it is now. It is the task of my generation that we need to leave our world in a better place than what it is now, so that you and your children can enjoy it for years and years to come. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your conference.